Welcome to our space of hope, inspiration, faith ignited, and the Word of God meeting us right where we are. Thank you for being here and for allowing us to walk with you. Psalm 107:28. Then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble, and He delivers them from their distress. Have you ever been so down that you didn't even know how to ask for help? It's not that you didn't want to. It's that the words got stuck in your throat. The pain was so great you couldn't even name it. And the worst fear wasn't the problem itself. It was the feeling that no one would listen, not even God. But today, in the midst of your silence, there is an ancient phrase that breaks the isolation. Then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble, and He delivers them from their distress. Notice something powerful. It doesn't say, when they pray with perfect words. It doesn't say, when they have faith enough. It doesn't say, when they have repented enough. It says, then they cry out, at the very moment of drowning, at the height of fear, in the depths of despair. There, they cry out, and not just any cry, not a polite cry, not a recited prayer. It's a cry from the soul. It's the sound of a broken heart that can't take it anymore. Imagine a shipwrecked person in the middle of the ocean. The waves beat against him. The wind whips him. He sees no land. He sees no hope. And in that instant, with his lungs full of salt and fear, he opens his mouth and screams. He doesn't know if anyone will hear him, but he screams. That's the cry. And the most beautiful thing about Psalm 107:28 is not just that they cry out. It's that He delivers them, not after they calm down, not after they deserve it, not after they understand why they suffer. In their anguish, He delivers them. He doesn't always deliver from the storm. Sometimes He delivers in the storm. He doesn't always remove the problem. Sometimes He removes the terror the problem produces. Because true affliction isn't just what happens outside, it's what breaks inside. And God doesn't wait until you're well to act. He enters just when you're at your worst. Many think that to approach God, they need to be clean, tidy, with their emotions under control. But the Bible is full of people who cried out from the mud. Job, from the ash heap, covered with sores, cried out, "Would that I had never been born." And God answered him. The prodigal son, covered with hunger and shame, rehearsed a speech, but all he could say was, "Father, I have sinned." And he was embraced before finishing. Peter, sinking in the sea, could only cry out, "Lord, save me." And Jesus took him by the hand. God doesn't need speeches. He only needs your cry. Because there's a difference between asking and crying out. Asking is polite. Crying out is desperate. Asking controls. Crying out releases. Asking negotiates. Crying out trusts. And in this world that teaches us to be strong, to not show weakness, to solve everything on our own, crying out is a revolutionary act. That is to say, I can't do it anymore, but you can. It is to admit that your strength has run out, and that that's okay. Because in that moment, God's strength begins. Let me tell you a story. All the stories told on the channel are fictional. Any resemblance to reality is purely coincidental. His name was Daniel. He was a 42-year-old man with a successful career, a stable family, and a depression that no one saw. Inside, he felt empty. Every morning was a battle. He smiled in meetings, but at night he cried in the shower so no one would hear him. One day, while driving, he felt like he was drowning. He stopped the car at a gas station, locked himself in the bathroom, and for the first time in years, he screamed. No words, just a guttural, heart-rending cry, like that of a wounded animal. And in the midst of that cry, something changed. Not because the problem disappeared, but because he was no longer alone. That night, he sought help. He spoke to a therapist. He reopened his Bible. and he began to understand that God didn't reject him for his pain. He found it in him. Today, Daniel helps other men who suffer in silence, because he learned that crying out is not a sign of weakness. It is the first step to liberation. And you who are reading this now, have you cried out? Or have you been silent, thinking your pain isn't bad enough? That others have worse problems? That God must be tired of you by now? Listen carefully. Your anguish is valid. Your cry is sacred. And God isn't waiting for you to deserve it, is waiting for you to call upon him. Because Psalm 107 is not a conditional promise. It is a narrative of rescue. Again and again the psalmist repeats, "They wandered alone, then they cried out. They were in darkness and the shadow of death, then they cried out. They were made sick by their ways, then they cried out." And each time the answer is the same. He delivers them from their afflictions. He doesn't judge them. He doesn't scold them. He doesn't say, "You should have." He delivers them. And deliverance doesn't always mean to take out. Sometimes it means giving peace in the midst of the diagnosis, sending someone to listen to you, renewing your mind so that the same problem no longer enslaves you, showing you that you are not alone, even when everything says otherwise. Because true deliverance isn't the absence of affliction, it's the presence of God in it. And here's the secret that few tell you. You don't have to have perfect faith to cry out. You just need a thread of hope, a whisper of, "What if he does hear me?" That's enough. Because God doesn't respond to the volume of your cry. He responds to the honesty of your heart. So if you're in anguish today, don't remain silent. Cry out. It doesn't matter what. It may be a "help me" whispered in the darkness. It may be an "I can't take it anymore" written on a notebook. It may be a silent cry with your eyes closed. It may be just a name. Jehovah. He hears, he sees, and he delivers. Because you are not a lost cause. You are a heart that cries out, and that's all he needs to act. And now, I want you to know something else. You don't have to walk this process alone. That's why we invite you to a place where the cry isn't judged, but rather sustained. To the Gokrip channel. Subscribe, ring the bell, and join thousands who, like you, discovered that in their moment of greatest anguish, God delivered them. Because it's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing that when you can't take it anymore, there is someone who can. Thank you for being here. Your presence is no coincidence. It's a cry that has already been heard. Then they cry to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivers them from their afflictions. Ready to cry out? We'll be waiting for you at Gokrip, because your deliverance has already begun. Remember, you don't need the right words, or perfect faith, or even complete hope. You just need a cry, a whisper, a "I can't anymore" shouted to heaven. And in that instant, God takes action. Not because you deserve his help, but because he is faithful. The key is in the word "then," not later, not when you're better, but in the midst of pain, at the height of the crisis. That's when you cry out, and that's when he delivers. Now, imagine explaining this to a 5-year-old. You would say this, "Look, honey, have you ever fallen and it hurt so much that all you could scream was, 'Mommy'? You didn't make a speech. You didn't explain how you fell. You just screamed. And in that moment, your mom ran to hug you, right? For God is like that mother. When you're sad, scared, or hurt, you don't need to pray like a shepherd. You just need to say, 'God, help me,' and he always runs to your side." Throughout history, many have experienced this. One of the most poignant examples is that of Corrie ten Boom during World War II. Imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp, surrounded by hunger, cold, and cruelty, Corrie and her sister Betsy met secretly to read the Bible. One night, as the guards beat them, Corrie could only murmur through tears, "Lord, I don't understand, but help us." That night, something changed. They didn't leave the camp, but they found an inexplicable peace. Later, Corey wrote, "In the darkest place on earth, we discover that God hears even the faintest cry. They cried out in their anguish, and God delivered them, not from the place, but from the terror that inhabited it." And today, in our fast-paced world, there's a very similar story. Her name is Sophia. A single mother, she worked as a nurse in an overcrowded clinic. During the pandemic, she lost 3 patients in 1 week. One night, when she got home, she locked herself in the bathroom, collapsed on the floor, and with her face in her hands, all she could say was, "God, I can't take it anymore." It wasn't a pretty prayer. It was a broken cry. But in that moment, she felt a calm that didn't come from her. The next day, a colleague told her, "I saw you were in pain. I came to help you." Sophia understood. God freed her not by taking away the pain, but by sending her companionship. Because sometimes, deliverance isn't a spectacular miracle. It's a heart that listens to you. Do you want to try it yourself? Do this simple daily exercise for 3 days. 1. Identify your anguish. What hurts you today? It could be fear, guilt, loneliness, tiredness. 2. Cry out honestly. Don't use religious words. Just say what you feel. "God, I'm exhausted. Lord, I'm afraid of what's coming. Jehovah, I don't know what to do." 3. Observe. Write down in a notebook any change, no matter how small. An unexpected call, a clear idea, a moment of peace. This exercise isn't magic. It's human. Because God doesn't expect you to fake strength, just to be real. And here is the truth that changes everything. Your cry has already been heard. It doesn't matter if you said it out loud or silently. It doesn't matter if you doubt He will answer. He is already acting. Because God's deliverance doesn't always change your circumstances, but it always changes your heart. And if today you need a place where your cry isn't judged, but sustained, we invite you to the Gokrip channel. At Gokrip, we don't sell illusions. We don't promise a life without pain, but we do accompany you to discover that in your lowest moment, God is already there, ready to deliver you. There you will find real messages, practical tools for emotional healing, stories that make you feel less alone, and a community that walks with you. Because we believe that faith is not for those who have everything under control. It's for those who can't take it anymore and cry out. If this message touched your heart, like it. Help others find it. Subscribe to Gokrip, the truth that not only inspires, transforms. Leave your request in the comments. We pray for you. You are not alone. And allow little by little you to learn to cry out without shame. Because in that cry, your liberation begins. For then they cry to the Lord in their trouble, and He delivers them from their afflictions. And you are already being freed.